This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
As Kentucky continues work on its state budget, there was a conversation this week in Frankfort on the federal budget. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis joined Kentucky lawmakers this week to discuss Kentucky joining a movement of states pushing for a balanced budget amendment. DeSantis says it is a constitutional issue he's advocated for the last 10 years and wants to use his platform to spur a national conversation. 28 states have already officially called on Congress to send a balanced budget amendment down to the states.
You get in a situation where you get 31, 32 states, well, then Congress is going to say, man, this is serious. And maybe they decide to draft an amendment and send it to the states for ratification. If not, the states can meet under Article 5, draft an amendment, send it to the states for ratification.
And it's that backup plan that gives some lawmakers on the committee concern. Governor DeSantis argues each state's rules and laws on delegates would safeguard against an off-the-rails Article 5 convention. No action was taken on the resolution after Wednesday's discussion. Representative Camuel, I want to start here with you. The national debt is $38 trillion. There was a lot of bipartisan agreement in that discussion, but certainly some concern around the methods. What do you think of the merits of what Governor DeSantis came to Kentucky to talk about?
It gives me a little bit of feeling of when we had Governor Bevin as the leader of the state, and so it gives me pause. I am not a big supporter of any idea surrounding a constitutional convention. There are no guarantees. There's no guarantee of who could be there. There's no guarantee that it will stay within whatever parameter the groups decide that they want, and I think it's dangerous. I think it is dangerous for our country to call another constitutional convention. For me, I would prefer to see us not join them and not pass that resolution. I think it would be problematic for the United States.
Senator Carroll, what do you think?
There is a lot of support growing for the Constitutional Convention and under Article 5, and I as well am skeptical about that, and I think that opens the door for possible disasters, and we need to be very guarded in that. The idea of a balanced budget, absolutely. I mean, it's the states, many of the states do that. I don't remember the exact number, but it's a little bit different story for the states. And when you get into the budgets of the federal government, and when you start thinking about what's actually going to have to be cut to bring a balanced budget, are our people really ready to sacrifice those things, whether it be benefits, whether it be defense, national defense? And so it's a very large task, and saying that we want to do it is great, but the practicality of actually doing it is very problematic.
And so you bring up something that the Congressman John Yarmuth, former congressman, he wrote about this visit. I hope Kentuckians realize that if the federal budget had to be balanced, our state would either lose billions of dollars or Kentuckians would pay far more in federal taxes. As one of the states more dependent on federal money, this would be a disaster. It's math. So with that in mind, I mean, how do we kind of avoid what we're seeing from our current Congress? I know that, you know, Frankfort, you can only have so much sway on what our Congress does, but we can seem to just have these continuing resolutions, these constant, you know, back and forths over raising the debt ceiling. What do you think could actually happen to feasibly have a more balanced conversation when it comes to our money in Washington?
You know, if we just focus on the money that we waste and rein that in the budgets, I've looked, you know, paying attention over the past couple years and all the expenses we're finding that we're spending millions of dollars on that those expenses don't even impact or do anything good for our country. Investments in programs in other countries, things like that. And I think if we just focused on the waste and help get that under control, that's where we need to start. And first, it's identifying all that, and I think the Trump administration has made efforts to do that, and hopefully there can be some consensus moving forward that we just get control of the expenditures that are really unnecessary.
Just a few seconds left here. Quick last word.
And I agree with some of what Senator Carroll has said. I think we do need to pay attention to what we're spending on, but I think that we need to look at how we are the way that we are reinvesting money, or investing money in our states. I think that plays a big role in it. I think when we look at trickle-down economics, we know that we've got 40 years that show that doesn't work. But when the federal government reinvests in our communities, it benefits us greatly. And I also agree with the senator that with Kentucky gets out a lot more than we put in as far as federal dollars go, and I think if the folks in Congress don't take a careful approach, it will be very harmful to our state. Like we rely on the help that we get from the federal government as well as everything that we do ourselves here in the state.
We'll have to keep a close eye on Congress. We'll leave it right there. Still